States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Alt, Mr. Beistel, Mr. Calero,
Here.
Mr. Fry, Mrs. Love, Mr. Polakowski, Mrs. Rhodes, Mrs. Shipley, Mr. Bentz.
Here. Let the record show 7 present.
Let the record also show that Mr. Alt indicated he would be here, but would probably be a little bit late.
Thank you, sir. Citizens' comments?
I have no citizens' comment cards this evening. Before we get on with our business, I'd like to introduce state wrestling champion Mr. Jake Beistel and his coach Ryan Shaw.
Just wanted to take a minute. I asked Jake to come in here, and I just was hoping and really to introduce him to the board and the district, and just really like you all to join me like you did. And congratulations, Jake, on what is really an outstanding accomplishment. To win a state championship in wrestling is probably one of the toughest state championships in my mind to win because it's such a mental and physical sport. But I just want to give you a little bit of highlights of Jake this year. His overall career record is 151 wins, 18 losses, which is an all-time record for Southmoreland, so he holds that record. This year he was 41-0, which was an undefeated season. Again, an unbelievable accomplishment in my mind. He was a section champion. He was a WPIL champion. He was a Southwest Regional champion. He represented Southmoreland and the state of Pennsylvania versus the U.S. All-Stars in a wrestling tournament, or a match they had this year at the Dapper Dan Classic, they used to call it. And again, he's Southmoreland's very first Pennsylvania state champion at 285 pounds. And again, I just wanted to congratulate him. I think we should give him another round of applause, and I want to give him a little plaque for his memento and his outstanding effort and an outstanding job.
I'm not much of a speaker or anything. I didn't really, prepare anything. But, I just wanted to thank everybody here, the school board members for making, Southmoreland such a, a great school district, to go to school in and live in. I want to thank Coach Shaw, because without him, I wouldn't be, the kid I am today, and I wouldn't be the wrestler I am today. So, and of course my family, everybody. So, just thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
I just want to thank the school board, administration, Charlie, everyone for bringing me here tonight. Everyone talks about, oh, you have a state champ, and back 4 years ago when you guys hired me, you said, what's your goal, what's your path, how are you going to do things? Excuse me. And my goal was always the kid's safety, number one. And I told Jake after he won, I said, it's a great feeling, but it's a bonus in life, because everything that we did for 4 years prepared him for life. And as a coach, it was always, and they hate me saying this, but it's always life lessons. As coaches, we're another mentor, we're another dad, we're another, whatever you want to call it. But that was always my ultimate goal here at Southmoreland. So that's what I'm more proud about than him hanging a medal on his neck. So he's a great kid. Unfortunately, I'm here also. I submitted my resignation letter. I'm leaving at the end of this year. It's not due to me going somewhere else or coaching somewhere else. I have an opportunity for work, employment, and I'm leaving May 23rd, and I'm moving to South Carolina. So believe me, when you all hired me, I wanted to stay here for as long as I could with, my family's support. It's now time for me to move on. They wanted me to leave this year, and I said there's no way. I started with this group 4 years ago. It was a lot of long days for me as a coach, leaving the state, coming back, making sure practices were going on and doing all that, but I owed it to Southmoreland. I owed it to not only Jake, but the rest of the group that I started with when they were freshmen. But unfortunately, my path has got to stop now. It's going to be difficult for me because I've been putting wrestling shoes on for 37 years. So it's going to be tough. But it's a new challenge for me as well. Again, I want to thank everyone. If there's a few things that I can pass along, maybe this is a question for Charlie, but there's a couple things that I'd like to keep my warm-up, if it's okay. I would like to keep my warm-up. And, I'd even pay for it, but I do want to keep it. And the last thing is, I'm not here today. Jake didn't win a state championship because Ryan Shaw was the coach. He won a state championship from the hard work and my staff that was with me. It wasn't just one man. It was everything put into it. And with that being said, I'm stepping aside. I will be back, though. There's no question. My family's all here from Pennsylvania. I'd like to stick around when I'm in the area. I've already talked to Charlie. I want to stay on as a volunteer, be able to walk back in the room and blow my whistle every now and again. So that I promise you. With that being said, the guy that really did a lot this year was my assistant, Steve Santia. I would like for the board, for the administration to really take a look at Steve. I know he's a guy that does want the position, and for the last thing that I told him I would say is he was over 50% of the reason that guy won a state title this year, working out with him. And he was a state champ of his own, and I think if you want to keep that same path that we have done for 4 years, we had pretty much a lot of success real quick, real fast. Our teams the last 3 years have been ranked in the top 10 in the WPIL, and he's a major part of why we were. So you want to keep in that same path for years to come. Definitely give that man some consideration. So just want to say thank you again, and thanks for having me here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Minutes?
Next week you'll be asked to approve the minutes of the March 3rd and March 10th voting meetings.
Any questions on that? Hearing none. Business and Finance Treasurer's Report, Financial Report.
You'll also be asked to approve the March summary reports and the Treasurer's Report. The Treasurer's Report is not complete yet, but we will have that for you for next week.
Discussion, compliance monitoring.
Right. It's just an informational item for you. Every so often, the state comes in and does a monitoring to make sure that various programs in the district are complying with the law and doing what's best for kids. Our most recent monitoring was our special education department. They did find a couple areas that they would have liked us to work on. So we did work on those, and we took the corrective action needed, and we received a letter indicating that we are now in full compliance with the program. So just a thanks to the administrators and Dr. Snyder and the special education teachers that worked on that project to bring us back into compliance.
Questions on that? Hearing none. Percentage of free and reduced lunches?
But I attached the free and reduced lunch report. We update this every month. Right now, as a district, our free and reduced lunch total is at 49%.
Fire hydrant update?
I spoke with you last month about the need to install backflow preventers on our fire hydrants. And the information we had at that time was that municipalities such as the Borough of Scottdale did not have to install such devices on their hydrants. So Mr. Mizwa and I went down to the borough office and met with the borough manager, Angelo Pallone. And one of the things Angelo said was, well, gee, I don't understand why you have to do this, because as a school district, you're a quasi-municipality. You have an elected board. You're funded by tax dollars, so you're not a whole lot different than the borough. So we called the compliance office, which is in Pittston, Pennsylvania. Apparently they do a lot of this safe water and backflow compliance across the state. And we explained our situation to them, and they informed us that we are currently required to do this as a school district and a private customer, and the borough's going to be next. So, it makes no sense to ask the borough to take over our hydrants when they're going to be in the same situation we are, at least according to the folks at the compliance department in Pittston. So I've asked Mr. Mizwa to proceed with drawing up specifications, and we'll get that job bid out as soon as we can. Our deadline to have this done, we actually got an extension, and the deadline is now in the middle of July. So we'll have that bid, and we'll ask you to award the bids if they are at such a price that they would need board action, and we'll get that done and get ourselves into compliance so that we don't face either a fine or a water shutoff.
Questions on that item? Hearing none, make a wish.
Right, some of you were able to attend the Powder Puff basketball game between our cheerleaders and the Mount Pleasant cheerleaders. The girls did a nice job. The boys who were on the basketball team also served as cheerleaders, and that was certainly an interesting concept as well. But they were able to raise $8,613 that evening, which provided for a number of wishes for local children with life-threatening illnesses. So we certainly congratulate that group, along with the group from Mount Pleasant that worked with us to get all that done. It shows what can happen when two schools work together and set their minds to a good purpose.
Food service report?
That's just an informational item. I attached Lynn's report to your agenda there rather than printing it out.
Okay. Johnson Controls, just keeping that on the table.
Right, but having said that, just an informational piece about that, I did speak with our architect, Mark Scheller. He was down today, shared some preliminary information with me. He'll be here next month, next week, to share some preliminary information with you as well. There's still a little bit of engineering work that needs to be done to complete the project. However, their in-house engineer is retiring, so he was not able to take on the work, so they had to contract with another engineer. So that might be a little bit delayed, but he does have some preliminary work done, some preliminary plans and ideas. The engineering work that needs to be done is just basically looking at the condition of the physical plant that we have in terms of the boilers and the plumbing and the heating and those kinds of things. But as far as the available space goes, that work is done, and Mark will be able to share that information with you next week.
Any questions on that item? New business, graduates of the class of 2016.
Right, we'll ask you to approve the tentative list of graduates for next year. They will all be eligible to graduate, provided they meet their course requirements and any outstanding obligations that they have in terms of things that they may owe to the district, library, books, or things of that nature.
Thank you. Slippery Rock University.
Slippery Rock would like to utilize our site as a student-teacher site. And in order to do that, we need an articulation agreement with them, so we'll ask you to approve an articulation agreement with Slippery Rock University for moving forward.
SAP agreement.
Right, each year we're asked to renew our SAP agreement with St. Vincent College. This is a no-cost item to the district, but it just is a series of things that we agree to do on behalf of SAP and things that they agree to do as well, so that program can continue to run smoothly. So we'll ask you to approve that for next week as well.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Centerville Clinics.
Right, very similar things. Centerville Clinics, we do use Centerville Clinics on occasion for students who have mental health needs, and there's a letter of agreement that talks about the things that we will agree to in terms of our obligation to the students and compliance with regulations, things of that nature. So this is not a monetary contract, but just a pledge of things that we will do.
Questions? Camco.
Right, Camco is the company that provides our physical and occupational therapy. Their current rate is $65 an hour. They would like to renew the contract for next year at the same rate of $65 an hour. And we would recommend that contract be approved. The PT and OT that come here were formerly employed by the IU. They've been working with our kids for many, 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 many years, and we're able to transition seamlessly for us. So we would recommend that we renew that contract with Camco.
Questions? Seeing none, school messenger service.
All right, School Messenger is the service that we use for our robocalling and mass texting. Snow days, emergencies. Mr. Mashia uses a good bit in his building when he's notifying parents that students are going to stay after school for tutoring or extended learning, things of that nature. Our other buildings are also beginning to utilize that service a little bit more than they had. It's $3,400 a year. It's certainly met with pretty good reviews this year in terms of the people that are getting the information in a timely manner from us, so we would recommend that that be renewed.
Questions or discussion? Seeing none, Consolidated Communications renewal.
Consolidated Communications is the company that provides our telephone service for us. And again, this is something that is renewed on an annual basis, and we would recommend renewing that service at a cost of $15,552. That's for our dial tone service and our call waiting, call forwarding, caller ID, all of the things that you normally buy with your home phone service.
Questions? Armstrong Cable.
Armstrong Cable, the same thing. We get our internet and cable service from Armstrong Cable, and the cost there is $1,250 per month. We would recommend that we renew that contract as well.
Questions? Seeing none, Special Ed Plan.
And we'll ask you to vote to post a special ed plan for a 30-day period, and then we'll ask you the following month to go ahead and approve that plan so that we can get that submitted to the state. The way the process works, I told you earlier, we had a monitoring. So we do the monitoring, then we do the corrective action, and then we write the new plan that will get us through for the next 3 years or so until the next monitoring. So I attached that for your perusal and did not print it.
Questions? Mr. Clara?
Yes, in the plan itself, it says the special education personnel development. The plan is a 3-year plan. The training sessions that they indicate in there, are those over the 3 years, or is that each individual year that?
It's over the 3 years.
So those will be spread out.
And depending on the training, some of them are annual. As regulations change, some of them are one shot for the 3 years.
And one other question, that child find process, could you explain that?
Right. We are required to, for want of a better word, seek out children who have special needs. So one of the things we do is we put an annual notice in the paper that says we provide these special education services. We work through the intermediate unit with the early intervention service. So the idea there is to make sure that anyone who lives in the district who has a special kind of need or exceptionality is found so that no one slips through the cracks. So we do the advertising and things of that nature. Parent trainings is part of that. We let parents know. I think there's a training, it might even be tonight, that we're doing in conjunction with Mount Pleasant. So that's kind of a part of Child Find when we advertise those things as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Approval of policy section 000.
Right. We posted policies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.17, and 11 in March. So we'll ask that you go ahead and approve those. Once those are approved, we'll send them into PSBA. They will get them published in final format. And then if you look across on your board docs, there's a section that says policies. So that section of the policy manual will then be available both to you as board members and also to the general public on the website.
Questions? Awarding a bid.
Yeah, we belong to the Westmoreland Intermediate Joint Purchasing Consortium, and they have completed their multi-purpose paper bidding. WB Mason Company is the lowest responsible bidder, so we would ask you to approve that bid.
Any questions? Hearing none. Any board members have anything? You want to say?
Just to keep the board informed, on the Spirit SP portfolio case, the former National Envelope plant in Upper Tyrone Township, both sides have filed pretrial statements as required by April 4th, And the settlement conference is scheduled with the judge on April 28th, and the trial date is June 1st. That's all.
Questions on that? Seeing none, citizens' comments? Seeing none, I need a motion to adjourn to executive session for personnel. Motion by Mrs. Rhodes, second. Second by Mrs. Shipley. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you.